So where are they now? Have they grown up at all? Let's check in on key cast members. Johnny Knoxville. The classically handsome Knoxville, who broke his urethra and was required to use a catheter after imitating the famed stunt cyclist Evel Knievel, has pretty much left the Daredevil game behind. Now he's acting, and we're not talking about bit parts either. After starring in movies like The Ringer and The Dukes of Hazzard, he hit new Hollywood heights with 2013's hilariously lowbrow Bad Grandpa, which tallied $150 million in worldwide box office receipts, according to Box Office Mojo. Unbelievably, Bad Grandpa even earned an Oscar nomination, nabbing a nod in the Best Makeup and Hairstyling category. It didn't win, but the recognition was certainly impressive. Next up for Knoxville, he continues to lend his voice to the character of Leonardo in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot films by Michael Bay. Steve-O! Arguably the wildest dude in the Jackass crew, which is really saying something, Steve-O generated plenty of headlines in 2015 for protesting SeaWorld and its treatment of whales. According to The Mirror, Steve-O climbed a crane, reached a height of 100 feet while rocking an inflatable orca inscribed with the phrase "SeaWorld sucks," and lit off a bunch of fireworks. He was ultimately arrested for his antics, but only served 8 hours in jail for his stunts, despite being sentenced to 30 days, according to E.T. But Steve-O was also branching out into movies, appearing as Pedro in the Haley Steinfeld film Barely Lethal. Even more impressive, he spent the year since the end of Jackass honing his chops as a stand-up comedian, and started his own Showtime special called Guilty as Charged, performing a mixture of his comedy act as well as stunts and tricks. Bam Margera. Sadly, Bam isn't faring as well as Knoxville and Steve-O. Margera, who is wed to his second wife Nicole, is battling alcohol addiction and some other demons. The visibly heavier Margera started appearing on VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jen in 2016. On an episode that aired earlier that year, Margera and his mother April recounted a particularly dark period during Christmas 2 years earlier. She revealed that her son was suicidal. In a drunken rage, he told her he was going to die. The reality star admitted that material things like cars don't matter to him, and that he doesn't even want to stay in touch with old friends. On the bright side, Margera is also doing custom artwork, which is viewable on his Bam Margera art site. He also fronted a band, and has been working on a documentary about his life. Hopefully he'll be able to turn things around soon. Ryan Dunn. Bam Margera's bearded BFF tragically died in June 2011, just days after his 34th birthday, perishing in a car accident in Pennsylvania. According to CNN, Dunn was driving while intoxicated at a speed of 140 miles per hour when he crashed his Porsche, which caught fire. His passenger, production assistant Zachary Hartwell, was also killed in the wreck. Dunn's death left a gaping hole in the hearts of his castmates, who reunited to memorialize him and to celebrate his life in an hour-long tribute special that aired on MTV. It was clear from the clips in the interview segments how much his friends and co-stars loved his sweet, goofy personality. He'll be missed. Weeman.
Most on-screen versions of Superman and Batman have looked a lot like they do in the original DC Comics. But not all superheroes are created equal. Some of the most iconic superheroes have received major makeovers when they jumped off the printed page. Here's how DC superheroes should really look. Superman. There is no shortage of angry fans' gripes about the DC Extended Universe version of Superman, but his appearance probably isn't one of them. Though it's not an exact replica of the comics character's usual threats, Henry Cavill's physical appearance for the role isn't one of the DC Extended Universe's problems, unless that is you really like red underpants. One of the most prominent distinctions of the new Kal-El costume is the fact that, like everything else about the modern take, it's much darker, whereas the Superman of old donned bright blue tights with bright red accents and a cape. The new suit is somewhere in the deep denim family. With a scaly texture woven throughout, Superman's supersuit appears much rougher than the leotards of Krypton's past. And of course, it's hard not to miss the fact that Cavill's costume also ditches a thick belt and outer breeches featured in the drawings. It makes sense too. Superman's original outer underpants design was based on that of circus strongmen of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. That's not really a thing anymore, so it's probably okay to drop the underoos. They finally have in the comics too. Batman. In 2016's Super Punch Fest Dawn of Justice, Ben Affleck's Batman was most obviously inspired by the Caped Crusader's journey in the 1986 comic miniseries The Dark Knight Returns. In the 4-part Frank Miller epic, an older Bruce returns from retirement to combat rampant violence that has taken over Gotham City, and dukes it out with Superman along the way. His costume too is clearly inspired by the series. The slate grey color, shorter ears on the cowl, and the size and shape of the bat emblem is pretty much a direct mirror of Miller's vision, and the surest giveaway for the Batfleck's true inspiration. Well, that and the fact that he basically said it in an interview.
Zach was heavily influenced by that. I think everyone's heavily influenced by that. That's the seminal work, right? So I don't think there's any of these that have been made that haven't drawn from that book because it's so good.
Wonder Woman. Linda Carter's version of Wonder Woman from the 70s TV show established a very literal rendition of the iconic DC character. But when Gal Gadot reintroduced Wonder Woman in Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, she did it in an updated outfit. Instead of the red, yellow, and blue primary color scheme she typically wears in the comics, she dons metallic body armor that fits in nicely beside the new, grittier versions of Batman and Superman. Based on that and what she's worn in footage from 2017's Wonder Woman feature, it seems that the amazing Amazon's classic outfit has been translated nearly perfectly to the big screen. Aquaman. While other superheroes have a long history of on-screen adaptations, Aquaman has only appeared on television a handful of times, and all of them favored his usual orange and green style. Instead, actor Jason Momoa seems to borrow more from Aquaman's later, more grizzled look, wearing a costume that highlights his incredible brawn. It's basically Poseidon meets Khal Drogo, and that's awesome. Still, this version of Aquaman will always be closest to our hearts.
Oh, hello, old chum.
Green Arrow. Green Arrow's costume on television has gone through some tweaks, but none have quite lined up with the Emerald Archer's longtime look from the comics. While the original is a not-so-subtle tribute to Robin Hood, Stephen Amell looks far darker and more leathery in the new suit. Additionally, for Arrow's first season, Ollie didn't even bother wearing anything to cover his face, opting instead for black grease paint. Eventually, he wised up and went with a mask, while keeping the practical and modernized hood to go with the show's urban setting. The Flash. What happens when you have a TV show about a superhero but you want to include the same character in your movies without impacting either one? You end up with Grant Gustin and Ezra Miller both playing a dude named Barry Allen. The Flash, the fastest man alive. Well, the fastest fictional man alive at least. The costume from the CW's TV series is mostly faithful to the comic book original, but it's a deeper shade of red and has some unique style choices. There's the lightning bolt seams and the headpiece that reflects his new 52 comic counterparts, the fact that his boots are red instead of the signature yellow, and the lightning trimmings from his waist and forearms have been reduced and removed respectively.
I'm the Flash.
The who now?
Ezra Miller's movie Flash is even more distinct, looking almost like he's wearing armor. The inspiration for Miller's movie Flash, it seems, is the character's look in the Injustice video game series. In fact, Gustin has declared himself a fan of the new Flash aesthetic, calling it sick, and adding that he's glad it's really different and takes a different approach than the TV show's street vintage feel. Hopefully one day they'll actually meet, and we'll get a true Flash of Two Worlds style crossover. Nerds can dream, can't they? Kid Flash. Kid Flash's costume got a few alterations in the Flash TV series too. The costume worn by TV's Wally West has a mustardy hue rather than a primary yellow, and sewn in gloves, as opposed to the separate pieces in the comics. Meanwhile, his belt is thicker and distinct, with a deeper shade of red. Of course, one of the most significant and interesting changes is that this version of Kid Flash is African American, a new spin on a character who for years in the comics was white. Because comics are endlessly confusing, there is a comic book version of Kid Flash who reflects this new interpretation. But no matter who you think of as Wally West, that's still a pretty darn accurate costume. The Atom. While there are some nods to the old comics,
Most every TV show makes a terrible choice at some point. While most recover, others just enter a permanent stumble until they collapse in shame. Here are some of the most terrible TV show decisions someone should have been fired for. Sorry in advance. And beware, spoilers for The Walking Dead, The Flash, The Big Bang Theory, Gotham, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming ahead. The Negan Cliffhanger. Readers of the comic knew that the 6th season of The Walking Dead would lead up to one moment. Glenn would die at the baseball bat of Negan, leader of the Saviors. As the season entered its final moments, Negan forced all the main characters to kneel on the ground, and he picked one to murder. He swung his bat, and the screen faded to black. Did Glenn die? Was it someone else? It was maddening. It wouldn't have been quite so bad were it not for another bit of viewer manipulation earlier in the season. Glenn seemingly fell into a crowd of walkers and was presumed dead, except that he wasn't. Good guys gone bad. While entertaining, The Flash on the CW tends to rely on the same old gimmicks. The first season's big reveal was that trusted science guy Harrison Wells was actually super speedy villain Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash. Whoa! For some reason, season 2 used the same trick. Super fast hero Jay Garrick joins the team, but is eventually revealed as the bad guy Zoom.
Well, this is a complication.
Unfaithful Leonard. The writers of The Big Bang Theory have always made the nerds guys that you root for. Even Sheldon's obnoxious idiosyncrasies are generally charming. And the romance between Leonard and Penny is one of the sweeter things on TV. So season 8's finale was the ultimate bummer. On their way to getting married in Vegas, Leonard admits to Penny that he'd kissed another girl.
Well, there was this girl. What did you do?
Nothing. Really, it was just kissing.
Not only is it a weird hurdle to throw in front of the characters, but the audience had to stew on it all summer. Everything Barbara Gordon. Gotham is an over-the-top soap opera about Gotham City's police force and the city's criminals and villains. But it's mostly about police detective James Gordon, and sometimes his insane fiancée Barbara. She has an affair, uses drugs, and is even brainwashed by the ogre into absolute insanity. And frankly, who cares about marriage problems on a Batman show? Losing the entire Top Gear team. Sure, Jeremy Clarkson is known to be difficult, but after 13 years hosting Top Gear, producers finally had enough when Clarkson got mad and punched someone on the crew. The BBC fired him immediately, and his co-host quit in solidarity. Top Gear over? Not a chance. The replacement hosts, friends Matt LeBlanc and the Chris Evans who didn't play Captain America, don't have much chemistry. After one season, LeBlanc threatened to quit unless Evans was replaced. Evans ultimately left the show. Stupid Inhumans. Marvel has a ton of original characters at its disposal, and the Inhumans have always been one of the coolest. But when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. introduced the Inhumans, they turned out to be weak substitutions for the X-Men, whose rights are under Fox's control. And because Marvel's been toying with plans for an Inhumans movie for years, we expected Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to lay some of that groundwork for introducing dudes like Black Bolt. But what fans got from S.H.I.E.L.D., Power Rangers level wackiness. Seems even lamer by comparison. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch more videos like the one you just saw. And leave us a comment to let us know which show you love.
Not quite as hot and humid as it's going to be in the next few days, Charlie and Lou.
Oh, Carol, don't look behind you.
Don't turn around.
I was staged by a dog. It's the story of my life.
Make his first appearance. But in this case, LaBeouf did not have that, and LaBeouf obviously, LaBeouf obviously kept on moving during the course of this scenario, avoiding all cameras, unlike myself, who couldn't avoid a fan just now trying to kiss me.
Don't split your pants, honey. I'm worried about your pants. I'll tell you what. Did you hear that? I warned him. Now, the only time I split my pants is by eating too much food.
Be warned, police are on the lookout, and if you get a fine, it's unlikely you'll do that.
3 after 7 here. Oh! Sorry. That was right. We had a light pop, and that was not pretending or being dramatic. Oh,
At least you handled it well.
wow. We had a light pop.
I wasn't even ready for that.
The thing is like, it popped, he yelled, and then grabbed his heart.
I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms. Something is wrong here. Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway.
Charles, thank you very much.
Dead giveaway.
Thank you very much for your time. And
Either she homeless or she got problems. That's the only reason why she run to a black man.
Charles, thank
The moment you, are watching this and you want to...
If you want to stop by, it's a little windy. The weather is kind of catching up to us.
Well, all the donations here,
Oh, there go our lights. So
we're going to toss it back to you guys.
Daddy, we're going to have to run because our light's catching on fire. We'll catch you later.
Whoa! Okay. All right, that's an earthquake,
Whoa. Yeah.
and that's a big one.
Wow. Okay.
Poor guy.
I know, I feel bad, but it's just the banana. It's such a sad sight. You know, he's walking with a stuffed banana.
Sad sight, all right. Albert, what's...
And many men covering up to support, unlike yourself.
I'm going to go get some pasties right after this, okay? Where can I go find some?
I have some tape in my backpack.
Look it up. Let's get some on. Is anybody here interested in being motorboated? Yeah. Can you motorboat my balls? Yeah.
The bigger the boobs, the better.
The bigger the boob? I thought we were talking...
Ha llegado la parte triste de nuestro programa.
es un placer compartir.
Hier sind auch alle Politiker.
Right now the score is 0-0, which created quite an energetic but tense atmosphere. The owner of Jock and Jill Sports Bar, Barry Lynch, has been hosting these World Cup watch parties throughout the World Cup. And Barry, you yourself, you come from Ireland.